Good afternoon, free enterprise fans, and welcome to Game 2, Moonblazewolf versus PlumeriaKnight, and this, the Adamant Cup round of 16 bracket stages. My name's Vitasia. I'm joined today on the mic by Deathlike. How are we doing today?
I'm good. An afternoon match, and any free enterprise match, anytime is a good time. So yeah, I'm excited to be part of this. Let's see. Looking up the objectives, I can't see who's starting. There's a lot of. There's only one. There's two moon objectives. You know, the massive moon altar, which is Ogopogo spot, and Cave Bahamut. So we'll see. At least see some interesting routing here. Given what we have today.
Absolutely. And then some of the, complete the sealed cave, super cannon, pan, cure the fever with the sand ruby can really be buried every now and then. So this is an interesting set of objectives, absolutely, what we're looking for here. Both PlumeriaKnight and moonblazewolf, of course, longtime members of the community. They've been absolutely fantastic runners for a very long time, so I expect to see some high-level play here for this one.
Yeah, you have the difficulty at the king spot of Town of Monsters. That typically can trip people up. I mean, you can have bosses like Evil Wall or Baigan. You know, things that punch often, early and often, and also for that spot, since that spot doesn't punch, that spot is kind of overtuned because it's not balanced. So there will be, depending on what's there, we can have some, probably some grinds before even that takes place. So yeah, and we have a Yang start, so which is good in a way, because when you start with the Yang, as long as he's still upright, he absorbs as many levels as he can before it becomes the ultimate punch mage that he can be.
I will say I really like Yang in these particular flag sets. It's very gear light when you look at what's available to everyone. Characters like Kane or Edge really need to rely on gear. All you need is levels, and by the mid game, Yang can really start doing some damage, especially if you have his elemental claws with him. We have a Palom as well joining us, and will help. Heck, Palom can take care of the early game there with just one level, and he starts getting his level 2 spells.
Yeah, I get excited to see a Palom because usually Palom is a really good starting character for anything when you have characters you need to carry, like a say a Dark Knight Sea Soul or even a Porum. Like you just need that one level and kind of get the snowball rolling. Once you get to Quake, then he kind of starts peaking. But Quake is useful pretty much anywhere, except for some places like say Harp, where magic defense trumps the kind of above average spell power of Quake.
Well, and thankfully we don't have the Harp location as a required objective. Meanwhile, PlumeriaKnight showing us, hey, Earth Crystal! Let's just go right next door.
It's already time for that game we like to play. And yeah. But right now, Public Treasury is being opened because you want to delay the excitement just a little bit. Public Treasury, while not as exciting as the real Treasury, although has a kind of above average chance of getting a tier 5 compared to other open areas. So this is, when you have kind of one of these seeds, it makes sense to to check it out just before we want to really see the good stuff. Hopefully it rolls well for our runners.
Okay, Hourglass, Dwarf Axe, couple Ninja Swords, Black Belt. I mean, it's not bad, but I honestly think Moonblazewolf, I saw, for example, the Crystal Ring that he picked up over here, doing Eblin Castle as well. So I think more efficient looting overall on PlumeriaKnight's side. Unfortunately, I saw like a piece of crystal gear, which is useless, and of course, and a lightsaber as well. Lots of Cecil exclusives in that treasury that, for sure, not appearing in this seed.
I've ultimately it's just money. Just light sword, it's money. The the ninja sword, well, we'll have to wait. You can kind of probably defer selling certain things like the Hanzo steel, but things that you know you're guaranteed to not see, that's money in the bank. That's all you're concerned about. I think the harem robe, while we do not have someone to equip it, probably be the first thing equipped on said character that can equip it. So this is not there is value. That's just not the value you have because of your party, and there's still time for to build up that party. So not to kind of freak out yet. We'll just kind of wait a little bit, and there's plenty of time. And hey, camping gear, you can't have enough of those.
Absolutely. That's nice to see early. Just not only the cannons, but also the life potions. That is one of the, of course, life potion glitch still activated for this tournament. And, very important when it comes to our grind later on. But I think at this point in time, moonblazewolf, of course, clearing out the treasury on his own right now. I think we're just about done looting for this entire seed, though.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna keep the yang, then the money saved by not kind of spending on expensive equipment, especially like weapons on the edge. Speaking of edge, yeah, you already had PlumeriaKnight has the weapons. Spending money on berserkers is it's probably the most expensive on edge because you need generally a pair of them. So, although I mean, you could definitely go through a seed buying with like a ninja blade, just buying one set. You usually want the second weapon, probably a mute knife, full moon, something to complement, or just another ninja blade because you have the money at that point. The edge will be fully online with at least a ninja blade plus whatever PlumeriaKnight and moonblazewolf decides as soon as Moonblaze goes to mount hops for the character.
Well, and we're already at a pretty solid party right now as well. Edge and Yang and Palom, give me a white mage and then we're set. We're good to go.
Yeah, it's like the times like I have all offense. Can this seed provide? Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes seeds like to play tricks on you. Kind of lock them all behind. Sand Ruby package giant. You might not get the white mage you want. You might Tella could be that white mage that you asked for, but probably. Says white mage. I'm okay. It's so it's nothing. There will be times where you might have all offense and very little healing available outside of cure 3 potions, which might drive you to looking to more shops.
Nah, I'm fine. Give me a Rydia best white mage in this position.
Yeah, I think Rydia can be a passable white mage. Cure 1, good enough outside of battle. You would really want Azura. 66% of the time she's awesome. All of the time. That's. But then there's Scythe, which is everyone loves the Scythe. Has the tune that kind of has its unique flavor. So I mean those are two kind of options on the table, which isn't the worst thing. So that's assuming you can pick up the summons. So and worth visiting Mount Hobbs, the front side, the normal front side, where you see the ice blockage.
All right. In the meantime, we saw PlumeriaKnight pick up the hook, of course, from our Defend Fabul location. So nice pickup there. Moon is going to be the first one to show us the Antlion location, which another really kind of standard location at this point in time. We're just getting some of our early overworld checks. I really don't expect either of these runners to not check some of these other locations. PlumeriaKnight showing us skipping Antline up to this point in time, really confident with the party he has set up to go ahead and go over here. How would we like some more offense in a Kane?
Kate is at least my favorite, one of my favorites. In terms of kind of a utility berserker. You outside of saying thunder elemental damage, Kane has all the heavy equipment that Cecil and Sid can use, but also the tools to just the kind of the weaponry, the kind of the options to destroy dragons, Dragon Spear. You have the Rune X, things that Edge can also do, but Edge doesn't have a weapon to destroy dragons with. And hey, there's a big doll that happened and still will be taken care of shortly by Palom.
Yeah, Calbrenna, that's unfortunate. Can happen when you sweep through and can't quite kill those back rows. Moonblazewolf does find the rat tail, by the way, here down in Antline Cave, so that's another turn-in. That'll be interesting. Moonblazewolf, I imagine, will be going over to do Fabul Defend here directly, and that will result in him picking up the hook as well. PlumeriaKnight now is in kind of a rough spot. He could use that hourglass. The back row dolls are susceptible. They do not have the boss hit, so you can use those hourglasses, stop them, and then when you do these flame sweeps, will not transform into Calbrenna at this point in time. Trying to just get double flames in, hoping that'll sweep through.
It's good enough. Edge being pretty fast this early as outsped the Cal, at least the Cal part of the Calbrenna, that's just good enough. Edge is very strong in the, as the anchor when you're in the overworld. So and with some run buffering allowed the flame to be cast. There is a delay on his spells, at least for his damage dealing spells, and so needed the extra time from the run buffering to kind of prevent them from changing back into the Calbrenna. It's one of those times where you use some magic, whether it's from Palom with that. Probably at this low level or an Edge, which the spell is damaging, but his wisdom not quite a spell, not quite a traditional spellcaster. So sometimes you need to find a way. Try to avoid using the hourglass, because it's certainly very useful for that fight, but there probably are more crucial fights. This is pretty early, and you don't want to spend it unless you really need the safety.
All right, so at this point in time, Moonblaze is done with his checks here in Fabul Defend. PlumeriaKnight now picking up and going over is going to be doing the Antline Cave right now. So runners are pretty close to one another. PlumeriaKnight needs to do Antline Cave, which is a very quick check. Moonblazewolf will have to go down and do the Baron in checks. The other thing that Moonblazewolf has done that PlumeriaKnight has not done is that Castle Emblem looting check. So PlumeriaKnight doesn't quite have the gear. However, we got an early Troya treasury, so I don't know if the difference between gear is really all that much.
I think we'll kind of see down the line. I'm a little right now. Moonblaze is getting the hovercraft, but for PlumeriaKnight, having the hook didn't. Deciding to go to the Baron Inn instead of getting the free character check. This is this team kind of at least screams for a white mage of some sort, and ideally, I would think both runners are thinking, I don't think I quite want this team unless I'm forced to. And this is so, if say the Eblin check is a white mage, is kind of time. Not entirely wasted, but time that you could probably have yeeted, whatever character. Right now, it could be the Yang or maybe the Kane. I'm not sure what Darkness Crystal, Moon access early. What weapon Kane has access to make use of it. But you can if you just eat the Kane, you'll have more money to spend on the edge. Although, given that we have decent Hanzo steel, probably won't need to spend too much more outside of if we keep the cane, which is one Gungnir Spear, or 2 Cat Claws if we find the shop.
All right, so moonblazewolf is making an interesting detour now. Already turned in, is dodging up to this point in time. Arcane that's in the Barren Inn. We happen to know that there's nothing there, but is already going here and turning in the Earth Crystal here in Tower of Zod. Again, not a requirement, but it is 2 character checks in addition to being a key item location. So possibly looking for your last white mage party in order to round out everything. Also, between the gear and levels we have, I really kind of like this particular check right now. Again, just in part to round out the party, we have the equipment absolutely at the levels to get through this right now.
It is actually very aggressive. I don't mind this check because you have an edge. You start it with a Yang. Cabe, so you have Quake. As long as Quake has virus at the moment, doesn't seem to be quite there yet. But I think the early dive is to really just hope for the white mage, especially if it happens to be Rosa, you immediately get exit. So then basically you kind of solved your white mage problem. But right now, CPU is going to slow this down quite a bit because I don't think either Berserker has a back. I mean, Yang doesn't naturally have an option for that. But if we don't have a boomerang, it's gonna make kind of definitely a slog for Edge. Yeah, Edge is usually good for this, but if you don't have a boomerang, have accuracy is just as painful as Yang. It's basically living Yang life.
The most difficult thing about this is, again, no white mage. I mean, you might take some time out with Yang not doing much damage. He might be able to throw some Cure 2s, but otherwise it's kind of a ticking time bomb. You have, Mazer does 10% of your health every time it casts, so might take some time out just to throw some Cure 2s around, just so we're living a little bit longer than we expect. Even the Dancing Dagger is doing okay, it's doing a little bit of damage there as well. So this is going to be a tight overall fight. Oh, perfect time to dart this Dragon Spear as well.
Yeah, at least Edge can throw stuff. I see our lovable Joker Golbez on the backside. So yeah, that's that's not much different. I mean, it's you get the paralysis early. It's like, what's the difference? It's unless you have the spells to kind of mitigate that. Although I think Palom learns Piggy early, so you could have made everyone but Palom a Piggy to negate the effect. It's kind of still kind of reliant on someone to get the Star Veils up. As this spot, while the spell power it's not negligible. So yeah,
no.
That's what you can't ignore it, and it only takes one and should be enough to survive.
Well, and I think the more important thing about this particular location is remember the rules of no free bosses, or with the free bosses. Golbez, Volvalas, and Wyvern cannot block our logical access into the underworld. So even though we already have the Darkness Crystal, we know whatever we find up here on Mount Ordeals is not going to be our intended access into the underground. It might be a Magma Key, but at this point, this is really reducing the chances that it's going to be. And our 2 characters in Tower of Zod, Edward and Rydia.
Maybe take the Rydia. We have no spoon yet, so Edward probably not even in consideration. So hey, we'll taking the Rydia. Moonblazewolf has not visited Barren Inn, so right now, Rydia, hey, you're on the team. Could be the anchor in the worst case scenario right now. Only potential healer, and yay, Evil Wall in a fast spot. And Rydia takes the nap. That's the power of Evil Wall. Punch early and and coming close. Maybe there's some regret not taking the Edward, but it's the snap decision, and you don't know what the boss is until it shows up.
And the worst boss you could possibly find here on the top of Mount Ordeals, it's our alt gauntlet. So normally something that's 1,000 HP that we can just kind of zoom through and not worry about. We have 5 fights now that we have to get through. This is, and we got the Twin Harp, so this is a commitment to actually seeing what that Twin Harp location is going to have. But if the Twin Harp doesn't lead to anything, because it's not a required objective in this particular seed, if it doesn't lead to an objective, this is a huge zonk waste of time right now for PlumeriaKnight. So honestly, at this point in time, I think if he's committing, you gotta follow through with that Twin Harp check almost immediately.
The non-downside of this is you're actually getting the grind, so Pelham will get Quake. This is like in this spot, you have not gotten any experience for whatever boss that was there, but since it's alt gauntlet, this is the grind Pelham kind of indirectly needs. I don't see that as the worst. I don't see that as the biggest downside, but yeah, it's time consuming. I think focusing on Pelham to some degree, and to a lesser extent, Yang, they'll be the beneficiaries of this grind. Also Kane, he starts at level 10, so yeah. But this also routes in better for PlumeriaKnight. You got to do the harp and then go into immediately do Zot. So I don't see it as the worst. It actually routes better. Now whether it kind of proves to get anything of use, that obviously is the bigger question.
All right, so we saw just the Mute Knife. You know what? I'm not heartbroken about a Mute Knife. I've seen the Mute Knife make the difference in these races with so many bosses sharing that particular weakness right now. PlumeriaKnight now through what is possibly been one of the longest ordeal checks that we've seen in a long time.
Yeah, I don't remember what was the first boss in that sequence. But you having Golbez, you having alt gauntlet. Yeah, that was an ordeal. Yes, as chat has pointed out.
It's like it was an ordeal. Yeah.
moonblazewolf has completed and has found, not a key item we want, but maybe it might take the cane. We'll see. It's not out of the question. Not everyone needs the cane at this point. I mean, you have more than enough power. The question, and Pelham really does help round out that power because, you have the spells, so you can hit multiple targets quickly, and Pelham learns all Quake pretty quickly. You're going to gain efficiency on just damage alone. So in some ways, Moonblaze might gain a lot more time, assuming that, and just on sheer force alone. PlumeriaKnight is more hoping to save some time. For Moonblaze, it's kind of the routing doesn't quite favor him as much. So it's different in how and what they have decided to route.
All right, so Moonblazewolf on his way up here to Mount Ordeals. That'll be interesting. I think he's got a few more levels, so it may not go. It should go quicker. However, there's only so quick that Golbez and Alt Gauntlet can go. Meanwhile, PlumeriaKnight is going to be showing us maybe the Moon character. I certainly hope so, but doing some of those last-minute item checks. Sylph is located there in Mysidia, though. That's going to be an important pickup for Moonblazewolf with his Rydia right now.
It could, right now, no, Rydia is the current anchor, and probably will be the anchor for this seed until something changes Moonblaze's mind. This is what it looks like to me. The Dark Imps being the first spot. This spot, the least punchiest of the ordeal spots, surprisingly low. So they're not a threat in any way. So, that's not. And then I'm sure Moonblaze will love what stumbles upon right there.
All right, so Bacchus wines located up on the moon in the item shop there on the moon. So that's a nice pickup there, as well as Thor Rages. You know what? I'm happy to see Thor Rages anytime I see them.
Yeah, Thor Rage is the J item of the J item that one turtle fears, and well, you should more likely you should be fearing the turtle, as the turtle when left unchecked will destroy you with an HP based wave based on the caster, the turtle, and will do significant amount of unblockable damage. Well, no, it can be actually be evaded, but it can significant amount of damage if unblocked. So you, it's especially in high HP spots, the turtle is very dangerous, especially if that spot is fast. That is, late game spots are pretty fast, so not you have not basically you want to buy some Thor Rages, kind of a safe in mind type of deal. You definitely it's definitely worth picking up at least a couple when you find that when you stop by the item.
In the meantime, PlumeriaKnight does end up finding a duplicate edge located on the moon and opts to avoid him, honestly, at this point in time. So decides to opt with a more well-rounded party. No real equipment for a second edge, really no real equipment for his cane. Well, hello, Sura. See, I'm telling you, this seat is just screaming Rydia White Mage right now. I'm just saying.
The I actually Jura is an interesting summon for it's especially it's basically her only healing summon. Oh, that's pretty free. Dark Elf is pretty free. The I'm surprised not to engage it. Probably maybe do it later. I mean, this is a required place. Anyways, Azura has high base spell power for healing. So even if you gave Rydia a Heron robe, that magic power doesn't diminish quite not significant enough to diminish the kind of uh, really incredible heal that Azura can provide. 66% of the time, of course.
And PlumeriaKnight, seeing that dark elf, and said, "Yeah, I'm good." Little surprised. I do remember that hourglass that we got in the Troya Treasury. I maybe would have done a hairdryer check, honestly, with the levels that we're at. We're looking at having to go into the underworld right now through the hook route. And I'm not quite sure how confident we are in the levels. We haven't even checked those, or checked whatever boss is available to us, available on the hook route as well. So I might have just gotten some safety levels there with that hairdryer chest personally, but also he could be confident as well in terms of going to where he's going to be going.
And it's kind of understandable that peeking the boss, but when it's typically free, sometimes it might get you the advantage. Especially it's a required. So, not. I mean, maybe it'll be routed in better later on down the road. Right? There's like I mean, the part of that is really that can be scary for the fight. Actually, is the dragon phase, and that's what if the hourglass is still in the inventory, that would be the perfect perfect tool to take advantage of the second phase, where the punchy phase, if you've stopped dark elf and dragon form, then it becomes pretty free. Now, how fast you get to landing the item, well, that's a different story, but you're not it can't. I mean, that can be dangerous if you don't have the hourglass, as the boss bit is not on the second phase, so allowing things like the hourglass to take the most advantage out of that boss.
All right, so PlumeriaKnight is about to show us our final character check. It feels like we've checked a lot of character locations this early. And it looks like we do have a Porum, so we have an actual white mage, if that's your thing, with a demist blocking our way into the underground, which is kind of punchy right there, as I recall.
This screams of yes, I need this white mage. Probably heat the cane, but also need the levels because demist very really strong. We'll have to figure out what the anchoring situation is, but Kane not without a decent weapon is the first to be eaten. Yang will be decent secondary berserker. Edge will be your primary berserker anyways. So with Kane not being essentially Kane not having a good weapon is why if you can't find a weapon, his value not there, not quite there, and it makes sense.
Alright, so moonblazewolf now heading up to the moon. They should find. I mean, I don't know if they'll end up picking up a second edge or not. I think for the same reasons that we discussed before. Second edge. I mean, edge still takes some equipment. Kane takes a lot of equipment to go through. Does look like Porum was picked up and needed for that cane. I tend to like that. Although everyone's back road right now, which is interesting.
Probably did. I think we're past the back row event. I don't know. I thought we were done with the back row. Oh, well, we're not. When you have an edge, you got to be Hanzo heavy. Like you'd have to be given a kind of a gluttony of Hanzo steel to take a second edge. So and having only just at best one good edge. Taking a second edge is like taking the cane that was yeeted. You don't have enough weapons to take it. You can probably skip with not having having another set of armor. But weapon, if you don't have the weapons, there's just not a choice. Like so usually you'd have to have a lot of an excess of weapons to take another berserker. That's what's typically the deal.
All right, so right now it does look like PlumeriaKnight is finishing looting out. We have the upland cave right now, which not necessarily a bad idea. Trying to get some gearing out for the rest of his party. At least something for his mages right now. It feels like we've been kind of mage light on our gear up to this point in time, and everything else is just stuff we've been selling. Otherwise, PlumeriaKnight's making a quick exit out of here. So just coming here to pick up the character. That means there's only one other place that Knight has not been yet. Could do the Earth Crystal, could also do the Twin Harp, but both of those kind of up in the Troya spot. Or going back up to the moon?
Looks like some shopping has to be done. Oh no, this is party switching.
Character swapping, yeah.
Yeah. Moonblaze has decided to check, just at least open up access, so the LST access, even likely not taking the edge, just like Plumeria did. So we'll see that as a verification. I did not see what was the character swap. What was this swap?
The character swap was Kane for his Yang, which is a little surprising to me because your Yang's got some levels on it now, and we still don't have a decent weapon for Kane at the moment. So that's an intriguing swap for me right now. I'm a little confused by it.
Well, if you've picked up, I'm not sure what the status of the armor is.
Oh, okay.
If you're picking up Kane, ultimately is to keep Palm online effectively. We haven't seen a Val yet, so typically if you even have a mage party, like a Kane, when he's essentially effectively the anchor, is still he has value in that once the Val fight is over and Kane has done his job, then kind of his usefulness kind of ends there. But at the very least, his value for a potential Val in a surprise position is there. Kind of this, it's understated. Like especially if on a heavy mage party with the Palom, it's kind of more justifiable. Yang does not provide that much value at that point, especially and you have the advantage of of being able to hit the back row with jump. So that's the item. Oh, found a white spear. So yep, there's your defining
that
position.
changed everything. I was like, oh, he found a white spear in that trap chest. Okay, that makes sense. Like,
yeah, in total, and we're gonna hear some music really soon. I think they're trying to might speed up the fight by trying to hold everything metallic, even the dancing dagger metallic. So we're trying to kind of move on to the next phase of the battle. So when you have everyone with heavy equipment, not sure what Porum is wielding. Probably the silver staff, I think, that she starts with, which is also metallic. So yes, some we're here for music, and Edward, second job is to play some good music for the rest of us.
that was a nice little quick Volvalas fight there. Helps that we had all the melee, of course, to get through that particular. Oh, just a samurai bow.
Not well, could be. I mean, it could be something else. Samurai bow could have been useful for Porum if we needed her in kind of an emergency archer role, but not could. But I mean, speaking of Val a little bit earlier, that Palom wouldn't have been very useful either, as had to be Val in the Dark Elf spot, which has effectively almost max magic defense. So Palom would have not been of any particular use. Yeah, that swing, no, that's something. Looks like Moonblaze is taking on the Mist. Do not missed what was the boss in front, but probably quick enough. The Mist will just have to take the slow route. Hope there's enough damage being dealt. And is Porum the anchor?
Yeah, Porum is serving as the anchor right now. It was Leviathan to start off with, but I wanted to point something out. Just a quick recap, and think about this coming from a speedrunning perspective. We didn't necessarily have a good reason to go up to Mount Ordeals. That only led to the Twin Harp, which led to a samurai bow. So that's two locations that ended up being giant blocks. The Earth Crystal turn-in, I mean, we had two characters that are no longer in our either party at this point in time, although PlumeriaKnight still has to make that decision, but also leads to a Mute Knight. So that's another giant wall. We've had access to go into our intended route into the underground by the hook for 15-20 minutes as a speedrunner right now. It can't feel very good to go through all of those checks with not even just, potential locations leading to one another, but just womp after womp after womp at this point in time. So I wonder what that does to the mentality of both of these runners as they're going through and finding each of these locations and coming up shorthanded.
Outside of hoping that the opponent does the same thing, it's kind of equally miserable. You have to remember, the opponent might have to do this, might be doing the same checks because as part of K main, K main, K summon, K moon are all on the table, but it's for a completionist seed, it kind of heavily favors doing everything on the overworld. So the chances of trying to kind of fade a particular K main check, is kind of detrimental to you. It's more likely to hurt you than to help you. Yeah, the harp, the Ordeals and harp not so well, but there's still some value in at least the Mount Ordeals check, where if we do find Tala, he'll be immediately online. So not like and the grind still benefits Palom. So like it's not completely lost, but I mean there's other things you probably would have reconsidered doing for sure had you known, hey, this check is going to get you nowhere. Okay, well, you didn't know as a runner, you didn't know that. Very likely your opponent didn't know that, and they'll very likely stumble on doing the same thing. So it kind of equalizes depending on how you route it.
All right, so moonblazewolf in the middle of this Demist fight. It's a bit of a slog right at the moment. Taking some punches. That's 2 punches right now. That's kind of a speedy Demist right now. Okay. PlumeriaKnight now abandons his White Spear cane for Rydia.
No, I mean, we do. It's decisions. I think Rydia is going to might be the anchor ultimately. It's kind of so like having Edge as your own solo berserker can make sense. So we'll see how that pans out. Right now, Moonblaze was completed defeating Demist. Probably saw some high numbers, so lots of turns Palom bluffing. And Palom bluffing is effectively increasing his wisdom by 16, which is effectively 4 spell multipliers. Quake has a base spell power of 200, can go up to 300 by variance. So you're on average you'll be dealing an extra 1,000 damage per bluff. So when Palom is at max spell power, you'll be dealing doing math, so it's like 5,000 up to 5,000 damage per quake at max wisdom.
And Moonblazewolf Underground, to piggyback off of that idea, also think about the bosses we fought. All the bosses that are kind of resistant to magic, Vovalas, we fought at the Twin Harp spot, so that's out of the way, and then CPU. So we're kind of good for all of the magic resistant bosses that are out there right now, right? So going for a full magic party with reflect strats, not necessarily a bad idea based on what we've already found.
Yeah, would you kind of powering mages isn't that difficult. It's really just it's similar to being berserker, but the difference is in that you don't mages have what at least I would consider not so great armor. I mean, the only kind of tanky piece of armor that a mage typically would need is a Howler robe, and that would have to top that with a glass hat to kind of really maximize the defense potential. And so basically, yeah, you have a lot of the armors, like even a sorcerer robe or white robe, they'll give you decent stat boosts, but for when enemies punch you, they don't care what your stat is. You'll still take a lot of damage, and the mages go down pretty fast when punched. So gearing mages is not as important. Stat sticks still important, white robe still important for white mages, but equipment outside of, like, say, a tiara, which is certainly very defensive and will allow a lot of the dragons be less harmful. There isn't there really isn't much on the table in the way of mages for defense, unless you get adamant, or something close to it.
In the meantime, we did see PlumeriaKnight pick up about 6 Drain Spears. Drain Spears are a fantastic item for edge to dart, in large part because whenever you dart an item, it is based on the overall attack power of the item, and the nice thing about Drain Spears is they have a high attack power, but they also have negative stats, so they're devalued for normal equipment, but when it comes to just the attack power for the dart, that's all we care about to throw it. So it's a fantastic item to throw, and we did see PlumeriaKnight pick up about 3, while moonblazewolf is over here and is just going to quake down the sisters, and this will be fast.
Well, you did the form. Rosa is an upgrade. I mean, since you have to consider, form was the temporary anchor for the Demist fight and for the fight before that. But now that Porm doesn't have the levels, we actually want this Rosa to actually go online. So as she has exit on hand because of the Zot check. So the Rosa is far more valuable at this point for Moonblaze, and probably Plumeria may be making the same decision as Leviathan is the first part of at the King Queen Element spot. Should be too threatening, as the spell power and the spot is only punchy, so a boss that casts only magic is not a huge concern.
And I did not see the key item there. It was an elixir. Ew. My goodness. This has been a rough seed up to this point in time in terms of our key items. We're still, only have 5 key items for our runners right now, and we've done quite a few checks, realistically. We don't have the freebie check necessarily in the Fey March, which I have to imagine moonblazewolf is getting ready to do right now. But yeah, we're missing the freebie spot and doing our other kind of underground shopping checks. But this has been kind of a hard seed to figure out up to this point in time. I'm worried that just about everything we need is up on the moon, and we've had access to it since 2 minutes in.
I think without a kind of reliable grind, you don't have sirens, you don't have hourglasses, so then you'd be resorting into kind of the bomb, the chain reaction bomb type of grind. Like there's a few grinds you can do on the moon. I think I kind of like the Cave Bahamut. If you have an assassin stagger and then try to use it on a warlock carry, they're still dangerous when you don't have hourglasses. Like the kind of access you would need to do a proper grind. It makes you want to do the underground stuff. Here's Japan. So yeah, that will be one of the quickest things to be turned in soon as we check out. Hey, here's our grind. Let's probably more likely to scramble eggs now. So I'm not sure if we found any additional hourglasses to buy. So might be worth checking the higher tier shops, the underground. And Eblin, Cave Eblin, as those are where all your grind out. Hey, here's something free and something almost kind of free on the right.
I'm not going to call Octomom I'm not going to call that free at all. Like, that's an incredibly hard-hitting, incredibly fast spot for Octomom. That is what I would call the opposite of free.
I would call it kind of free, because if you just keep doing damage, you have to pile damage. It doesn't have to be as much. The Octomom slows down, and you can stack that on top with slow or the Silk Web. Either way, the punches they're relatively balanced, because it's the Azura spot. The difference being that Azura has a racial weakness that you can kind of use. You can have like rune rings defend with, but they're not. I don't think it's as bad. But at least doing the the free spot with the King Queen Evelyn. Always, I mean, this is a required objective, but also super free. So until things change, like maybe the spell power changes. Yeah, this is certainly worth the time doing. At least visiting here is gonna get you something. And we're gonna get, hey, not required, but hey, it's cool. We don't, maybe the next piece was right next door, but I think at the very least Moon is gonna leave or save, one or the other. Looks like save. Maybe check out the squid, because you don't know how the squid got there, but those are mysteries to be found later.
Okay, turning down the battle speed, absolutely. So is going for survival strats. Absolutely, just about getting the number of hits in as best as you can. Will be sleeping and saving. So looking forward. This is going to be an interesting fight right at the moment. Turn down battle speed a little bit as well. Meanwhile, PlumeriaKnight still working on getting out of this Demas fight. Didn't notice he picked up the Rydia. Oh, that's right, picked up the Rydia. We're going full mage on this end. So here we go, Octomom.
The difference between PlumeriaKnight's and Moonblazewolf's Demas fight is that Plumeria had a second Berserker, and that would contribute damage. Rydia is just Rydia being anchor, that's fine, but Porum isn't really contributing much. She's not having her healing, not too much of it, and requires a decent amount of levels for Blink, so to keep Edge or Palom upright. So right now the difference between the party comp for Demist really significantly favors Moonblaze. So not sure if someone was timing the difference between Moonblaze's and Plumeria's Demas fight, but it's likely that Moonblaze had a much faster time overall based on the party composition at this fight.
This is one of those fights that I almost think having a Porum and a Rosa might be beneficial, because you could link up multiple party members at that point in time. Octomom just hits way too hard here for the levels that we're currently at. And yeah, Moonblazewolf has to take a reset. While PlumeriaKnight now into the Underworld.
I think it looks like changing the anchor is an interesting decision. Not sure if it makes a difference. We'll see how this pans out. I think that right now, Edge is much faster. Maybe if we make the Octomom slow down, as that is part of its battle script. When you see changes form, it gets slower. So it will probably over time make Edge kind of do more work as the battle progresses, and Octomom subsequently will do less. We'll see how this works out. Palom probably not the most important. You just need Rosa and Edge to be alive. So having Edge in the back row will still unfortunately take the back row penalty. Back row glitching not available in this flag set. It was available in group round, not available now. So they'll still take a bit time, but I think it might be doable, as Edge is going to be taking less damage. I'm not sure what the armor situation, but when you're in the back row, your defense doubles, so that should help out Edge, and also monsters attacking party members in the back row also does get affected by the back row behavior. So that's having the accuracy. So the squid does less damage in the back row, but still takes out Edge.
Yeah, I think the problem at this point in time is just Rosa is not getting enough turns in to get those blinks off to counter Octomom, especially in the early game. Once you get down to this part, I think it becomes a little bit easier. And yeah, at this point, you just wait for a blink to run out on Rosa. So I think the fight's well in hand now, but you just gotta be careful and hold on.
It looks like it's stabilized. Probably just too many characters, not enough inputs. So, and with Yang clogging the queue, allowing for kind of this stability to happen. So this is very, very fortunate. Looks, and assuming nothing goes horribly wrong, moonblazewolf should be able to take care of this Octomammoth. It's just the state, his visual state doesn't actually say how much HP it has. It just says how many punches you've actually not punches, but how much damage per turn you've dealt to Octomammoth. So Squid's still relatively fast. Like what about a Yang? Oh, two Yang turns per punch. Maybe 3? Oh, it's 3. Yeah, it's significantly slow enough to make it manageable. And yes, hopefully this is a good, some good. Hey, that's nice.
I'll take it. I'll absolutely take all that effort for an adamant armor. Yes.
Normally, I would think trying to normally get a little bit more XP, like overall, before even taking a look at this spot. Like Rosa doesn't even have Cure 3. You scramble a few eggs, get Rosa to Cure 3, get Edge to Image, and then the fight might be, maybe a little bit easier to take on. But it's fine. I mean, when you're a runner, you need all the time, and sometimes doing it faster, without the grind, can be time game. Depends on the degree of difficulty of a particular spot, and having that free spot also helped quite a bit.
Worth noting, that is our 8th key item, and we have 2 quick turn-ins that we're going to be able to do here with, 3 quick turn-ins, honestly, between the Pan at Sylph Cave and then Sheila 1 and 2 at the same time. So we're going to have a very efficient Fabul check, just a strength ring for our first turn-in.
I think the more important turn-in is the pigtail turn-in. That should solidify. Most likely going to be put on Edge to solidify. Won't need to be blinked as much. You can focus on blinking Yang or any other party member that needs to be alive. And armor kind of solves a lot of problems in tough seeds. So it. Worth turning in just doing that, but probably want to delay that first. Wait for the Pan. We already we've done the rat turn in already, so yeah. But probably just do that and then go to Fabul. Want your adamant armor? You're gonna have to use it now.
Oh, absolutely. I'm perfectly fine with this pickup, especially since it's right on the way to Sheila. And Edge is going to be a fantastic little recipient for this. We've got some fantastic gear for Edge up to this point in time, and he's been the one really carrying us. Although, let's not underestimate Yang as well being a recipient for the adamant armor. The way his damage multipliers work is he ends up getting more out of the strength bonuses than any other character, because that's just how his damage multipliers end up working. So, maybe Yang as well, but and especially with the levels that he has right now on him.
I usually, for something like Yang, I spent a bit of time thinking about this, and in more of the practicality. So the thing about, if Yang doesn't have his levels, the multipliers, while helpful, it doesn't have the same impact as a fully equipped Edge. And just for the sake of argument, 2 ninja blades. Unless Yang reaches that point, the multipliers are not entirely lost on, but it's not as useful. But by the time you get to the levels that would take advantage of all those multipliers, his strength is about to be nearly capped. If you've reached the point where he's reached 5k HP, he's probably at level 50. His multipliers, without too much equipment, will his strength will only nearly be capped out. It doesn't take much. I've had times where you have too many power shirts, and then I just have to kind of reduce his equipment to a black belt because that power shirt isn't doing that much extra for him. And the other part is that his magic evasion, which is generally non-existent. Yeah, adamant armor does a lot for that, but he doesn't gain much as a whole. Like Sid has even as Sid doesn't gain much either. They're kind of equivalent in some ways. Like they have a lot of HP, a lot of strength, but Yang is obviously more has better potential for power because of how he scales at late game. But you're also the thing is that Sid has more armor. Like you're not using a ribbon. We're talking about like say Dragoon helmet, Dragoon shield, Dragoon gauntlets. They heavy armor provides a lot more magic defense than any of what I would call monk equipment. Strength-based equipment, strength boosting equipment. So Yang doesn't gain much on that end. Yeah, he'll gain the multipliers, but kind of the magic evasion gets lost on him ultimately. It's not that he doesn't. It's useless. It's just their edge would probably be better served being solidified for battle for the Z battle. And looks like Moonblaze has taken up on Luca Key.
Nope, makes total sense. We got a Luca Key from the Shiva 2 tournament, and it's an objective. So let's go ahead and go down and do this. No real grind yet for either of our runners, although already in the low 30s for most of our key party members right now. So certainly capable of doing this right now, unless there's a really mean boss here. But we haven't run into anything overly mean up to this point in time. Just hoping this isn't like a Wyvern or an Ogopogo or anything like that I would nastily name and speak out loud to put into existence or anything like that.
Hey, it's a pass, free entry, so no worries about kind of exiting on the moon early as we need. But there's still whatever boss is showing up here. Oh no, it's super free, punchy but super free. Just the way the randomizer likes it.
That's the opposite of what I was trying to do. I wasn't trying to bless the seed, I was trying to curse it. Ah!
It's fine. Your Baigen is in another castle. There's still a fair bunch of free bosses left on the table. I don't think we've seen like the officer soldier combo or even the Baron soldiers. It might be that the moon might be a little bit more free. Maybe there'll still be a nasty boss, but like more free than we may have imagined it to be. So this is shaping up to be kind of good right now. We're still at the edge of attaining the 10th key item. Probably may think to do K value as required objective and hoping for the last key item to be there, and then do an LST dive to hoping for the 10th key item, and then so that your grind becomes just doing the Loonar Subterrain.
Well, we're at 9 key items right now on Moonblazewolf's side. PlumeriaKnight doing pretty much what has already been done. I think the only thing that Moon has not done yet in the overworld, he's already done all of the checks except for that tower that you mentioned. No one has done a keyless tower up to this point in time, and that's the only thing really at this point in time that's available unless we go to the moon immediately.
For in terms of routing, it's nicer when you have the tower key to kind of loop in tower. The thing of it is that sometimes because the rando is rando, the tower key is literally at the top of the lower tower, so sometimes it becomes a last location item. So I think, but at this point, I think it's Moonblaze has decided, hey, Moon Dive is where everything is at. So I completely understand doing this. I mean, I think I don't remember who was the one peaking. I don't think it was Moon. I think it was Plumeria who peaked. So yep. Moonblaze will be really happy to see the boss at this spot. Levels not too much of a concern. And worst comes to worst, maybe I'm not sure if the hourglass was used, but maybe just do one siren with the hourglass to do just dual King Ryus, as that's usually a pretty decent grind. Hourglass is being the safety, and taking on the Dark Elf shouldn't be too bad. We'll see if the Dark Dragon phase trips Moonblaze up.
All right, and this is, I mean, you mentioned it before, it's kind of free for this first half of the Dark Elf fight. The real trick comes when you get to the Dark Dragon portion, where he can get a little bit punchy. But other than that, Moonblazewolf has this well under control. PlumeriaKnight, meanwhile, playing a little bit of catch-up in the straight line race at this point in time. Really going to come down to, I like the check by both, or at least by Moonblazewolf up to this point in time, abandoning what's at the top of the lower Tower of Babel. Just from looking at the percentages, we have, we still need the Tower Key, the Sand Ruby, and we have 2 objectives that we need up here. So you're looking for 2 key items. The most that you're going to be able to find is 1, going through down below on the top of tower. So I like it, honestly, at this point in time. Just going ahead, let's do the objectives. Let's go up to the moon and fight that.
Look, Moonblazewolf not having too much problem. I mean, adamant armor solves a lot of problems, so Edge shouldn't have a problem. I mean, you have Rosa, and if the worst comes to worst, Rosa can revive Edge, so it shouldn't be too long. Dark Elf doesn't have too many interesting moves at that point. Completes that, and wondering what that key item happens to be at that spot. Definitely Lunar LC Dive. Hey, it's that thing we could yeet. We've already yeeted the Bard. We can yeet the spoon too.
I like it, and most importantly, that's the 10th key item for Moonblazewolf. So double experience from here on out. Fantastic to see. That's kind of exactly what you want to see right now if you're in the moon spot. And we're going to be flying over and really grinding off the bosses at this point in time. Adamant armor means never having to say you're sorry. So yeah, this is going to be relatively straightforward for these bosses, so long as we can keep Rosa up to keep Edge alive in the interim.
Yeah, in some races, it's kind of a popular thing. At least I think it's interesting. When you don't have, say, cave value or mortar altar on the table, sometimes you might think you're kind of like a number of key items short. You're like, say, 7 key items on the moon, maybe before entering moon, and you might thinking, maybe if I could get a key item. And it might not be the worst thing to try to look at the cave value spot for Bahamut or even the Mur altar when it's not a required. Just to hope for a key item, and worst comes to worst, you'll hopefully get something decent out of that spot. If it's not just for information, before ideally your grind is going to be Loonar Subterrain. So try to collect as many key items before you kind of visit the Ribbon Room or the Masa altar. Those are which have decent. Ribbon Room has 100,000 XP on the table. When you have the 10 key items, it's doubled. So the value increases if you can try to collect a few more key items before you have to really do the denser XP spots on the Loonar Subterranean.
In the meantime, Moonblazewolf is not doing top-down. He is diving right to the area that is most dense in those lunar checks. They're right next to the final save point. So I got to imagine that with the levels that he currently has, might check out things like the Ribbon Room or the White Spear Altar first, just because it can be really rough to go immediately to the Masamune Altar. We're almost out of free bosses at this point in time. I think the Kaipo guards are about the only free boss we haven't seen up to this point in time. And there's a lot of real nasty bosses that are out there that could possibly be there as well. So it'll be interesting to see what moonblazewolf thought process is in terms of these checks that he's going to be doing directly.
Right now, Bagen is the top of my list of really nasty bosses left on the table. So that, and Bagen with 3 parts. It's almost like Dark Imps, but has a few more interesting moves. Hey, free. Well, not free, but kind of I need the grind now. Probably need Rosa to get Cure 4, but it's effectively free. Effectively, when you have hourglasses available, even if it's just 1 hourglass used, I'm not sure how many was in the inventory, but that should be more than enough. I mean, you have your berserkers, you don't have to do too much, and Yang, hey, I'm doing things. So yes, this is probably not just useful for Rosa, but for Yang primarily.
And chat pointing out that Bagen was actually hit for rule defense, so he is off the table actually. But there's lots of lunar bosses. I mean, Wyvern, Ogopogo are still out there. If you want something that's ruder, that's kind of non-traditional, Ant Lion Bear punches very, very, very hard. We still have there's so many other bosses that would not necessarily be good there as well. Kaigatsu would be terrifying there, frankly.
Not so. Probably, Kinatsu at Ribbon Room probably be the worst, as you have. I mean, normally the D Lunars there, but you combine their HP, and having a large HP pool to use Wave with, that has always slowed down a runner or two. So yeah, Kinazo is definitely probably the only thing looming. Yes, the turtle is looming, but the quick interesting question. So someone was asking, so why not revive the Palom? I don't right now. This is a very berserker heavy team, right? And it looks, and I'm thinking, we need the best character to kind of leave down is kind of is Palom. Cursed Ring will probably give a reason to revive Palom, as that would cap the agility growth. Black mages have kind of one of the slower agility growths. So, but Magic, I know Val is out, but I think this Moonblaze decided we're a berserker team, and if we want Palom, sure, but not the primary focus. So I can understand why Moonblaze is not reviving Palom intentionally. It's just not as, right now from Moonblaze's team, not as useful.
No, I tend to agree. And with no Cursed Ring and no other gear really that we've picked up to manipulate the agility at this point in time, he's playing a numbers game. He's banking on the fact that 2 Zerkers and a Rosa and a Dream will be more beneficial once you get to the Zeromus fight, because you have a little bit more control over how things are going at that point in time. And hello, Rubicon. This is terrifying. Do we have an Ice Claw? I kind of wish we had an Ice Claw.
Was it even in a shop? That is a more question. When sometimes when a weapon doesn't appear in a seed, it does make certain characters not as effective. But that's okay. Berserk, Edge, or just if you just throw all the things, Edge won't be triggering the Fire 2 counter, but Yang can just Power Punch, which will not trigger the counter, and that's instant death, unless you pretty high spell power. I don't think it's max, but probably the highest in the game, used in the game. So It's like 127, so it's a 30. I think that's a 32 rounded up because you get one. So, which is higher than what normal character can possess. So, yeah, that glare. Yeah, that hurts. It hurts unless you have Protect Ring and you're like a Sid. You're not gonna. You're not gonna. It's a nap time effect. That's what you're gonna get from Rubicon with glare.
Yeah, and at this point, this is just, you know, hey, Edge, let's see how far we can go. This will be interesting. Oh, he does get him down before the second glare comes out. Well done, moonblazewolf. Has the objective done. Some more cutlery to launch for Edge. But other than that, okay, we're still looking for our 2 key items. They were not in any sort of easy path right now.
Yeah, the key thing though, you have to, remember the adamant has essentially elemental immunity. So just every basic elemental, fire, ice, lightning, will do 1 damage. And glare is fire elemental, so had no fear didn't even need to worry about Rubicon's existence. Edge will do edge things because of the adamant armor. So that was heads up from Moonblaze. Not concerned, not even worried about everyone going down. Edge, as long as Edge is alive, it's fine.
Oh, remember that Kengatsu we talked about just like 3 seconds ago?
Yeah. I love turtle. I love turtle soup. No, that's a TMNT reference. No, Kinazo. Yeah, this is probably probably one of the last fights that you have to worry about and have the time right, as not getting the lightning down on the turtle on time means surprise wave. It's okay. Propel him, serve his purpose. That's fine. Kinazo's still not a problem. Should deal a little more damage, and then. But I think at this point, we're doing enough damage that any wave is pretty safe. So I'm not. Yeah, this just let Rosa cure. Both berserkers are on berserk status, so not a worry at this point.
All right, we'll see how much this wave comes. Ooh, I mean it hurts about livable. And hang on, I've been wanting to try this for a while. I've been working on my voice impression, so let's see if I get the same gravelly voice. Like, tonight we dine on turtle soup. No.
No.
Okay.
Well, turtle has. Yeah, turtles have appeared in, I think, at least Final Fantasy V. So, I can't remember a memorable turtle thing, if there was even a turtle in Final Fantasy VI. So, yeah, turtle will make a comeback in the next game. That's for sure. Hey, something for Yang, so doesn't feel left out. That's about the treasures that were in the ribbon room.
I'll take it at this point in time, for sure. All right, so PlumeriaKnight over here, climbing tower. This is actually something very exciting because we haven't seen this check. Plumeria has been a little bit behind for most of this race and kind of needs this to lead to something. He's counting on the moon being relatively haunted and moonblazewolf effectively wasting his time up here. While we have a not nice Asura fight in the meantime.
Yeah, for Plumeria, what Plumeria needs to win would be like a kind of like a massive chain, like something to Baron, some Baron key, or at least a tower key into Baron, into whatever's left. That's about there. I mean, you still need the Sand Ruby stuff. Certainly need the tower key. So those 2 items probably need to be like behind Baron effectively, or the tower key. Either way, it's that, and Moonblade didn't seem to have trouble. I think there was a mute knife on hand, so Azure did not meet, was not a threat, and another key item, but not the key item desired. There's still the Crystal Sword altar, which is Wyvern spot, and the Myrrh spot, which is the Pale Dim spot.
And we have a surprising number of key items still in play. I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 just out there that we have no idea what's going on, 2 of which are still required. We still need the Sand Ruby, and we still need the Tower Key in terms of our objectives. Moonblazewolf is getting closer. I'd be a little bit nervous if I were Moonblazewolf that there's a wrong decision made at this point. I mean, I think it's statistically the right decision. Meanwhile, PlumeriaKnight is working through his Mylan and friends at the top of the tower. As soon as that... Oh, and that boss is down. All right, here we go.
Well, this is also an Odin at the Wyvern spot. So the spell damage... hey, the thing that key item I was earlier talking about? Yeah, Baron. That's on the table. So that's 2 key items potentially on the table. So, and certainly worth checking out at this point with PlumeriaKnight. Probably needing this to work out. And Moonblazewolf really, outside of being punched, this is still pretty decently punchy spot. Not a threat for Zenzuken, the spell. And we're gonna see what that key item is. And it is, hey, other part of Forge, but not required in this seed.
And resets out of the fanfare, so not even concerned about hanging on for whatever weapon that we could possibly find there. Completely happy with what we have. Yeah, I tend to agree. This is Moonblaze. You could sense the frustration a little bit coming from Moonblaze's side. You've got to, like, this has got to pan out. And not with the pan, like with some sort of value at this point in time.
Yeah, this is gonna be if whatever's on the Myrrh altar is not required. Say like the magma key. That's probably what's left on the table. That isn't what you. Then the moon is technically haunted. Yeah, you have to do the moon objectives, the altars that are required, but it's gonna be super haunted, and that might be enough for Plumeria to complete the seed, because if that is the case, then all there is just the Massa altar on the moon. And hey, Sirens, gotta buy them all. Don't know how much you're gonna grind, but you're gonna need it.
And I believe this is one of our first scoops of vanilla in this game. Pale Dim at the Pale Dim spot.
Yeah, the song of Pale Dim's people. That sound that I don't think it gets old for me, although it probably gets old for some people, as is the only counter. It's like, if the solution to everything is slowing your enemy down, then okay.
Meanwhile, PlumeriaKnight is opting to crack some eggs, and he's at 2, 4, 6, 8, now at 10 key items as well. So I believe this is what Plumeria was kind of waiting for in order to start any sort of grind on his side. Moonblazewolf, meanwhile, has not had, did cracked a couple Sirens early to do some King reuse, but will not have to do any more grinding because all these bosses have gotten so much experience. And a Sand Ruby. Moonblazewolf bailed out.
Yeah, the chances. There's still a chance, but hey, it happened to be something Moonblaze needed, so it might be argued that Moonblaze is in the driver's seat. There isn't much left to do for Moonblaze. I think it's the harp check and lower tower, and that. So we know at this point that Baron Key is going to lead to something that is required, which is going to probably lead to Tower Key in some way, shape, or form. So I think there's I think right now Plumeria's kind of on a timer, and that timer is getting shorter as Moonblazewolf is looking to do the thing that was fated long ago.
All right, so here we go. Top of tower. Moonblazewolf knows it's got to be something. The Sand Ruby can at this point wait until the last turn in because we still need to destroy the super cannon. Going to be slightly disappointed that it's not two for here with the top of tower giving us the tower key like vanilla, but that's the way it goes sometimes.
Yeah, the keyless tower play is always it's always interesting discussion because you don't. The worst case scenario is that something up here will essentially lead you back into the super cannon room in some way, shape, or form. If it's not directly the tower key itself, but something that eventually leads back to the tower key. So, not always. Sometimes it's, but in this seed, it's certainly going to be leading back here. So you're going to you're essentially forced double dip into this tower, whether you want to or not. Not there's just always it's always a kind of a quandary for some people. So, I'm wondering when this grind will end. If it ends up that the grind requires nuke and white, then Moonblazewolf definitely not waiting for that to happen. So this grind may be working against Plumeria to some degree.
Yeah, the grinding up to nuke, it makes the logical sense, but I don't know if Plumeria has the time because Moonblazewolf is just crushing it right now with the levels that he has. I mean, even Rosa is safe from an unnerfed Big Bang at this point in time. He's got the levels, not having to worry about anything at this point in time, and can kind of reset out of anything he needs to. So it's going to be rough for PlumeriaKnight at this point in time, but still working on moving as quick as possible. Only 5 sirens left.
Well, I guess it would probably be a mistake trying to go back and buy some. Like, you probably want to, if you're gonna still do a grind, you can probably save some. Try to do your grind on the moon. Like, if you just because the XP gain is, at least with the King Ryu grind, probably be better, but also you kind of need to save some time. You still need, in Plumeria's case, you still need to find all the other games, and we know that the only key item, the only check that needs to be done is Mura on top of the required Masa altars. So the depending on how Plumeria routes, the checks may save time, may not save time. It's kind of so. If Plumeria decides to go to a top-down, because by the time completed the checks of the Baron key, there's gonna be just the Sand Ruby left for PlumeriaKnight that has to be resolved. So there's basically check for key item at that point.
All right, and here's the save outside Baron. Will likely want to knock down his Palom, although Palom doesn't have a ton of levels, so could probably afford to keep Palom up if he needs him.
Moonblaze doesn't really need the Palom. Still be the anchor ultimately for Plumeria. But Palom is kind of the focus to some degree. I mean, this is going to be mage focused but this as required. The last siren, hopefully Plumeria continues on the trail of what is at the end of the Baron key right now, because right now Moonblaze is already there at Baron. I don't even remember what we started with. Oh, it was Yang. That's right, karate at this spot. It's been an hour. I barely remember.
So karate, that was a fast fight. I didn't anticipate that taking very long at all. And now we are going up to start with the liberation. Just knowing if we can get through this, that's pretty fast right now. But we do have 2 checks that we could possibly make here. And just coming down to where do we find the tower key first?
Is it Blarg? That's my question. Oh no, it's the other. It's the Lunar's favorite. So sometimes a surprise Blarg is a refreshing thing. At least in some of the races with ending up in Baron Castle. This isn't too difficult. Way too many levels. Yang can probably do himself, but it's whatever. It's over. Moonblaze is hoping doesn't have to do the basement, but either way, but if it's not here, it'll be the next thing. Maybe there's a replacement anchor that could be on the table. I mean, Sid is right there. Second scoop of vanilla. Maybe that needed the pal.
Perfect timing for a great anchor right there with Sid.
I'm excited to see what appears. Looks like a squid and a kid. I think I remember rolling it where the vanilla palette and Porum showed up in their right positions.
That would be interesting.
Yeah. And this is it.
There it is.
Yeah, the timing of that, unfortunate. But even if it was in the Odin spot, Moonblaze has more than enough to take that spot on. Nothing, and even a surprise Blarg here, that's not going to stop Moonblaze, as the spell power at the super cannon spot non-existent. So they could probably just evade it outright, evade some Blarg. That can happen. Normally a surprise Blarg can be of interest, but when you've already done your leveling, surprise Blarg not a threat here. In Baron, very threatening. Here, not so much.
Well, more than that, you're outspeeding at this point, and it only takes one shot. Meanwhile, PlumeriaKnight has nuke on our Quake Kid, so probably at least close to nuke on Gritty as well.
Oh, it's also a freebie here. The Plague doesn't. That HP, that Plague, it's done. Yeah, having it's actually nice once in a while to see Rydia with nuke. Though harder to get because their XP curve much higher to get. I think it's 1,000,000 XP plus a little. I'm not sure what the exact number, but it's compared to Pelham, which is like a couple maybe 100,000 lower. It's Pelham learning at level 52, but Rydia's 50 is much longer to get to. Stat-wise, though, she does get kind of compensated, but not. But when you looking for the spell, 50 in Rydia for Rydia is a long way. I'm not trying to think of how long it is to get to Porum's life 2, because that is a bit a ways away. But Moonblazewolf is in go mode. Knows it's in go mode. So there. Outside some wipes, Moonblaze's race to lose.
Well, and Moonblazewolf still has to remember to turn in the Sand Ruby, so there's a small cutscene we have to go through. But our final item, hey, there's a Magma Key, so we know where all the key items are. This is close to a full run.
Yep, 17 out of 17. I think it's a good time to shout out for our streaming team, Scala on Restream. Hoping for some awesome Z art. Oh, hey, Duke Sid. And unstoppable force, doing the tracking. As you know, the seed was a little slow in giving key items, but I can't remember everything that went on in the seed too. So I was and being reminded of things that I forgot or missed, quite invaluable. Can only not everyone's great at multitasking, but hey, I'm doing my best.
All right, and at this point in time, moonblazewolf is going to exit right now. So, and with that pass, we'll immediately be making a trip over here to Troya. And we have a little game we like to play here in the free enterprise community. Not a game so much, but something that is a fan favorite of the community. You see, we don't have the ability to randomize all the bosses in all the locations. Zero Miss is just a little tricky at that point in time, just because of how his HP works, and big bangs are still big bangs no matter where you're at. So what we do, instead of randomizing the boss location, we randomize the boss itself. There are more than 500 different final Z sprites for when he changes his final colors. So the Z flags in chat really represent a fundamental question unto the existence of free enterprise. And that question is, whose butt are we gonna kick tonight?
With other questions is there a butt? How is butt? How many butts? Does butt have a hat? You know, really important questions that must be answered very soon.
I mean, I think these are fundamental questions to the entire community, and I, for one, am looking forward to at least an answer tonight, this afternoon. It's not even 3 o'clock. My goodness.
It's fine. It's night somewhere around the world, just as it's morning. So it's streaming everywhere. So, and we'll see really quickly what the sprite happens to be.
Balrogmas. Okay. That's an interesting sprite there, Scala.
There are many butts, and it's hard to keep. Even I have definitely not seen this before, but very interesting. It's very at least I like the art. I don't know where it's from though. Maple Story. I've heard of Maple Story. So that's extent of my knowledge.
I think everything in Maple Story is by law required to be cute. That's something that the Canadian legislature actually passed for Maple Story. It is required to be cute. Ergo, this butt is cute.
I have seen the animation, so yes, I agree. I'm not sure. Is it Canadian? I guess. But I'm sure there definitely has to be a law of that, yes. Maple Story butts must be cute. Yes, I completely agree. And Maria is doing Turtle next logical spot after doing the required spot. Still a lot of time that needs to be cut to catch up. So, but leaving 2 berserkers, letting Rosa do the healing as needed. Yeah, this kind of that timer is nearly up, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's getting close to the end, and last shake, I mean, Sid went down very, very easily. But, otherwise, the 2 Zerkers are doing quite a bit of damage. We have about 4,300, 3,600 from Yang, and easily able to survive this unnerfed Big Bang.
I mean, even if it falls into Meteor, Yang will probably still survive this, so not a real concern. Even Edge will survive it, but Cureful goes off, so pretty much the insurance needed to survive Meteo if that phase up and rocks are falling.
And there's the flash, the boom, the bang, the shake. GG's to moonblazewolf, finishing with the final time. 1 hour, 37 minutes, and 45 seconds, winning Game 2 versus PlumeriaKnight and advancing to the quarterfinals. GG's to moonblazewolf.
Yeah, GG's to moonblaze. That was no. Well, this is a pretty straightforward seed for the most part, outside of the effectively the last location, the tower key, but kind of an indirect route, and it looks like Moonblaze has joined us.
Hey everybody.
GG's Moon, just a fantastic race, one overall. Walk me through just kind of your initial thoughts as you were going through this race. I have a couple questions, but really I want to kind of get your thoughts just out the gate.
Yeah, so this was another pretty powerful seed early on. The Abilene Castle had incredibly good loot. I think I got a ninja sword, a Zeus gauntlet, and a crystal ring out of there. And then I went up to Troya and got the earth crystal, and that was actually a pretty good treasury for this seed as well. So after those two things, I felt like I really didn't need to loot much after that, and it just played out pretty well. I had the power early on. I was trying to be good and aggressive with the party that I had, but I was also a little bit fearful of overinvesting too much pre-hook route, like fading the twin harp, for example. But yeah, it was just a little bit of push and pull with the power level, but also, you know, you can do everything, so what do you do first? And it can be a little tricky with that sometimes.
I gotta ask, how nervous were you getting when you went to the moon? You had abandoned tower just to go to the moon. I mean, which statistically it made sense, but you had done the requirements and then cleared out everything else on the moon without getting any other of the key items or even a path. How nervous were you going into that last? I think it was Pale Dam that ultimately ended up giving you the package, so you at least got something out of the rest of the moon trip.
I mean, I don't want to say I was nervous, but I breathed a huge sigh of relief when I got that sand ruby and knew that something other than those two spots were required. Because yeah, exactly like you said, I had put off 2 checks on the earth. I'd put off the twin harp and the keyless tower, with the Baron key still floating around out there, and the magma key, I might add, which was actually making me kind of nervous too. And yeah, just not finding much of anything on the moon until that sand ruby was definitely starting to make me concerned, but I felt so much better when I found that sand ruby at Pale Dim.
I liked your usage of the twins this seed. They were handy, even though they were not your end game party, but certainly used in interesting ways. You used Porm. I don't remember where you picked Porm up. And that was it's in Cave Emblem Passage. And companies used her as an anchor, and then later on used Palom as the anchor late game as you went full berserker by that point. Can you kind of walk me through that?
I mean, it was as good as like Edge was early on. I really wanted to find a white mage, and it took a while to find a white mage, and then I kind of found 2 in quick succession, or Tella for that matter. So yeah, it was nice to see Porum. I wasn't like married to the idea of taking Porum all the way. Same with Palom. Palom is a little bit of depending on how the rest of your party comes together, Palom can be the odd man out a lot of the time. And that's kind of exactly what happened in this seed. I knew at a certain point he was just going to basically be my moon anchor until I kind of found something better. So they both were useful, but I was perfectly happy kind of moving on to a Rosa and then just sort of keeping Palom down on the moon until something better came along.
Moon, I know I believe you're a fellow member of the Yang Fan Club. especially on these particular brackets flags. I mean, you got him early. Um, can you tell me just about kind of what he brings to the table with the lower equipment possibility here on this flag set, just needing levels and he's online?
Oh, in this seed he was great. And actually in our game one, he was a pretty good option as well. I fumbled execution and equipment stuff with him in match one, but the seed wasn't gonna make me do that again. He came with a poison claw. I had another poison claw, and then eventually bought a cat claw for him too once I kind of knew he was going to be in there for the long haul. But he's a great second melee character, and in this party that was perfect because power, sometimes you get a little bit of flexibility out of that against certain bosses. You can certainly have him swig a Bacchus wine if he needs to and punch respectably. And when you get him at the really beginning of the seed like that, he just scales super well. So I was really happy to have Yang in this party for this seed. It worked out pretty great, honestly.
Yeah, totally a fan of Yang, especially when you have a Yang start. I mean, untold power, but if you wait on him at least. Any other thoughts on this seed? Seed look pretty linear to me, at least, and outside of the effective last locationing of the tower key.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely made me nervous. I'm really happy with how I played and executed. That Octomom fight was especially fun. I know I wiped the first time, but I was kind of like feeling out the best way to do that with a little bit of an awkward party. But I knew that as long as I could get enough punches in and get a blink or two up, I was going to be fine. So it was sort of just figuring out the right combination to do that to get through it. And getting that adamant armor when I did, I felt like made the decision to go to the moon really easy, even though I faded a couple things on the earth. Thankfully, that didn't bite me with exactly 2 key items to find. So yeah, it was a really good seed. It was a lot of fun. I feel like this is one of the... I felt like I executed better in this seed than I have in some of my practice and some of the other seeds that I've done. So all in all, yeah, I'm really happy with how I played. And it was a good series with Plumeria. He is a really great player. I'm really glad we got to have this series. If you didn't catch our match 1, definitely go watch that back. It's one of the... I'm gonna toot our horn for a second here. I think it was one of the most exciting matches of the entire tournament so far. So this was a lot of fun and looking forward to moving on, but also GG's to Plumeria, and thank you as well, of course, to everybody who helped out with the restream today and came out to watch the race.
Fantastic. One last question before I let you go. You're down to the quarterfinals now, awaiting the winner of Lord Bobri and Brybon. How much research have you done? Have you watched any of their races recently? And how much are you looking forward to that round 8 match?
I mean, I know Rybon's a lot better than me, so I'm gonna hope for Lord Bobri to come and pull off a couple upsets here. But honestly, this was... So my goal for the tournament, I always try to make a goal for myself before I enter any of the tournaments, and my goal for this tournament was actually to make the quarterfinals. So I really feel like I accomplished my goal for the event at this point, and everything from here on out is just gravy. So I'm not gonna think about it too hard. I'm just gonna keep playing the way that I've been playing to sort of get me here. I do think this is a flag set that kind of plays to some of my strengths as a runner, so we'll see what happens. Whoever my quarterfinal opponent is, I definitely feel like I have a chance, and you know, we'll see how the matches go.
Well, fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us, moonblazewolf. Moving on to the round of 8. Best of luck to you moving forward, my friend.
Thank you so much. Have a good weekend, everybody.
GG's again to moonblazewolf. Looks like Plumeria is completed, and we'll find out. Hey, there's the tower key that I've been searching for. So yeah. I think the major difference is kind of the character selection and how the Demas fight went for both I mean, those both have impacts on how fast you do everything else. So and definitely the routing was kind of different. It's like they would end up doing the same thing ultimately, but they were different and had a lot of decision making that comes with it. So.
Yeah, I tend to think in this particular seat, PlumeriaKnight, he saw a potential for an early advantage in that Valvalis was in the twin harp spot, and we already got rid of CPU in Birth Chris in turning in Tower of Zod. So it makes sense. Like, okay, all of the bosses that can possibly trip up a magic-oriented party are off the table. Like, it makes sense to be able to if you have the opportunity to build a magic party, hey, it's a great opportunity to do so. But I mean, we saw kind of what kind of power happens. This was despite the weapons that we ended up getting, this has not been a very kind seed for any sort of magic equipment whatsoever. It was equipment light overall, and that just it led to someone like Yang being able to overpower you. And the equipment we did get was for Edge. It just proved that I think the equipment helped make the difference and helped figure out which was going to be the superior party.
Yeah, the early game looting leads to how long you keep this character in your party. Even the cane that Plumeria had temporarily had the white spear for was yeeted pretty early, still pretty early regardless. Like usually if you have a berserker, you want Edge, and then your second one could be and it's also honestly a toss up between Kane or Yang, depending on who you have kind of favor at the time based on what you know and what you need at that time. And Yang, you don't really need to buy stuff. And as moonblazewolf said, the poison claw. The early poison claw was hey, didn't need to really buy anything. Pretty much online with the poison claw. And so it's sometimes even if you get the best of weapons, like you saw I don't remember where the white spear came from, but I think there was a dragoon spear. Still the cane could have been ending him viable, but you had Yang in the beginning, and that favors Yang quite a bit, and play to moonblazewolf's strengths.
All right. Meanwhile, PlumeriaKnight destroying the super cannon right now, so getting that last objective done at this point. As soon as he's picked up by that airship, will be off to Troya to do his zero miss fight, and his is going to look a little bit different, just because, as we talked about, with that party setup, we're looking at reflect nuke strats at this point in time, which is a little bit different than just the Zerk up and go strat.
Yeah, the advantage of having an all mage team, for at least for terms of zero miss, is skipping the HP refill. So in the middle of the fight, after doing the first big bang, zero miss needs to hit essentially a certain HP threshold through a counter script that usually triggered by any sort of damage, not reflected damage, and that script says to refill. And usually when you say you do a nuke on zero miss and you see zero miss doing nothing back, that is the refill skip in action. Sometimes with the berserker team, this also manifests itself in some sort of strange delay. You know it when you see it happen, and that is that's and so usually you want to use a veil. Any veil will do. Reflect wall will be is kind of sufficient, but can be kind of dangerous if it wears out in the middle, and then you kill the person that had the wall on them. So yeah, it gets you basically dealing with only half of zero miss potential HP, which can be a time advantage, but also needs good timing, and you ideally have your spellcasters at the required nuke and white levels, and having white will be a bit slower because it has actual delay. Nuke is instant, so which is why you would take a Rydia over like a Porum if you needed a spell. Though it could go either way on that kind of pick, though, given given how fast they learn the spells.
All right, here we go. So we have our own Balrog Omus from Maple Story over on PlumeriaKnight side. Should be, I mean, the levels that we have, plus with RE1 Sid, we should be fine.
Yeah. I mean, if you for safety, you could turn battle speed down, but I don't think it's too bad. Probably won't want to use the wall on Sid. Ideally on the highest HP character, but it doesn't matter. The first character on the line, in this case, would be Rydia, so no big deal. And usually we'll try to want to do like a direct nuke cast on Zeromus or just to try to get the first Big Bang nerfed. So that's what we probably might be seeing here, but we're definitely reflecting white for sure.
Yeah, interesting to note. You don't want to try to direct cast the white in order to nerf the Big Bang, because white is a significant amount cast time. I've seen many runners in this exact position try to use white to do that nerf, but it's you already kind of missed the opening round to you missed the window here. So absolutely important to use that nuke, even if it's not the next kill.
Also, a direct white also triggers a weak casting. It's not the same weak as the spell. It's just it's a perfectly 100% working weak. So if you're under HP leak from Big Bang or Virus, that's potentially a death sentence for that character. You do not want to use holy elemental spells on Zeromus unless you like Swag Rocks, and it's also Swag Rocks phase for Zeromus.
Lots of damage going out though. We've not even had one full Big Bang yet. We're on like 6 nukes and at least 1 white up to this point in time. Balrogmus is melting right now.
Yep, and Sid most likely won't survive. If he does survive, he'll just be probably throwing up a potion. Nah, that's fine. Sid can take a nap. You were here. You only had one job, and that's to throw the crystal and then take a nap. Good job, Sid. Good job. Shouldn't be too much longer. The nuke should be the last one, right? Nope. One more nuke. Right in. Reflect strats are pretty powerful, and for other bosses. So always good to keep in mind. And that is enough. That is it.
Flash, boom, bang, and PlumeriaKnight finishes with a time 1:55.56. GG's PlumeriaKnight. Unfortunately, losing this particular round, but getting to the round of 16 bracket stages, still an amazing run in this tournament. So GG's to PlumeriaKnight. Wonder if he's available. And sounds like we are joined by PlumeriaKnight. GG's to you, sir. Okay, well, we'll keep chatting.
Okay.
Oh, there you are.
Sorry. I was muted for some reason.
GG's to you, and that run, things ended up looking very different between you and moonblazewolf just because of party selections and kind of routing selections at certain points in time. It was a
Yes.
fantastic race, all told. Give me kind of your initial thoughts.
Well, my initial thoughts are, I made a big mistake with my party composition. You know, ninja plus longsword for Edge and white spear for Kane. It's such an atypical situation for brackets. I just, I got a little bit caught in my own brain. I got Rydia and I'm thinking, oh, double nuke, this is so good. Val, CPU, they're both out of the pool. This is such a perfect mage setup. I got the 10th key item from top of tower, and it's just all snowballed into making the absolute wrong decision for this seed today. So, otherwise though, not too bad. Well, it was definitely an adventure and a fun seed. Sorry to see the tournament come to a close for myself, but all congratulations to moonblazewolf, who is an amazing player. I would have needed to play out of my mind to beat him. So, yeah, those are my initial thoughts.
I assume the decision to go full mage probably was hindered by whatever you saw at the Rubicon spot, the hook route. Is that what you're referring to ultimately?
Yeah, the hook route. I mean, Quake and darts can get through that pretty easily. But yeah, and I don't know. I didn't really see a quick way through that. No matter what party I took, so I just figured, let's just we'll ditch Kane. He's got the white spear, so that's not going to do anything against Demist anyway, and we'll just pick up the party that I plan to use for the rest of the game.
Yeah, it was interesting kind of watching the back and forth and the different choices that both of you made. It still came down much closer than we thought, because moonblazewolf ended up opting to abandon a couple locations down on Earth, one of which I believe was the Twin Harp. The other one was top of tower, which ultimately led the Baron to the final key item. Sand Ruby, I think. No, not the Sand Ruby,
the tower key.
Tower key, right. So he had gone to the moon, and other than the objectives, it was looking like Moon was going to be a gigantic womp. So things were still very, very tight there for a second. And then Sand Ruby ended up being in last spot.
Yeah, as I got that Sand Ruby, I was just like, well, there's no way to avoid full clearing the moon here. And I felt pretty sunk. I don't know when the dot done came in. Sometime when I was on the moon. I think when I was still at the bottom. But either way, I felt pretty sunk going up to the moon when I had done Magnus and Zot for absolutely nothing except characters. And then I did top of tower for just a 10th key item. And it was the Baron key, but I felt like I had already made too many gambles, so that I had to go to the moon anyway. And then ultimately it didn't really matter because there was nothing that I could skip at that point.
Yeah, I mean, you got to the Baron key. You picked up the Baron key first, but also had to do the moon. Well, Moonblazewolf caught up quite a bit, and completely did the moon, and then did the tower after, which yeah, that's unfortunate. You were about to do stuff, but you had, I think I totally understand the 10 key items for the grind. You need those spellcasters online to take on the moon. But Moonblazewolf did the moon first, so that was the grind took instead. I mean, there was some King Ryu, short King Ryu grinds, but nothing, not like the egg grind you took. So yeah,
yeah, definitely. If I could do it again, Kane, Edge, Porum, and an anchor. That would have been, that would have been the perfect setup. But yeah, unfortunately, it didn't work out. But, I mean, it is what it is. It's, 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 just take a couple eggs, and then that adamant armor does the rest.
All right, as we finish up here, just kind of any final thoughts from you, Plumeria, on the seed, the tournament as a whole, or anything like that?
Oh, the tournament's been great. Just playing races. It's just it's a great opportunity for the community to enjoy some races, and I really appreciate all the volunteer work that's gone into the restreams and setting up the tournament, organizing it, everything. Yeah, so GG to moonblazewolf again. Good luck to him moving forward.
Awesome, and thank you once again, PlumeriaKnight, folks. Make sure to give him a follow here on Twitch if you like what you saw. Couple of announcements. Remember, later this evening, 8 o'clock Eastern Time, we do have a double-header race going on. Lord Bobry versus Rybon tonight at 8 o'clock. Remember, that's the opposite of this match. So whoever Rybon is up 1-0. If Rybon wins, he will end up facing moonblazewolf here. So that's a match to look out for if you're interested in the results of this race. And also, race 3 of Dusty versus Pancraz is going on also at 8 o'clock tonight. Dusty versus Pancraz is going on over on Free Enterprise. Lord Bobry versus Rybon on RPG Limit Break. So great double headers tonight in the Free Enterprise community. Make sure you're here. Finally, we are getting ready to go over and raid another member of our community. Looks like Elevated doing kind of a free Mechalink is showcasing a Free Enterprise casual marathon that's going on over on that channel. So make sure to show them a little bit of love. Please do not spoil the results of this race for anyone else going over there. Otherwise, one last shout out to everyone behind the scenes. Of course, we have Stoppable Force on the tracking, Scala Kitty on the restream, and on the God Mic, laughing at my jokes because no one else will. And of course, there's my co-commentator, Deathlike. Always a pleasure working with you, sir.
That was a lot of fun. Yeah, so hope to see you all next seed, which isn't too long, at least for the day. There's still more Free Enterprise to come, so hope to see more Free Enterprise.
Take care, all.